Hi folks, today we are talking about the Phygital trend that you cannot ignore and what you can do about it. I'm Sue Parker, I'm an ex-tech leader from a global organization who is now turned an entrepreneur and helping you to build a digital and Phygital product ecosystem and business strategy. Now here's the thing, I have been in this business for a while and I've realized that for most of us, we don't have a strategy, or most people don't. And when you're an entrepreneur, you usually start off life as a coach, a consultant, or a freelancer. You basically take the skills that you have in your job and you then start to contract out direct to clients, which is great. It's the great first step on the ladder, but it doesn't take you into being the business owner and stepping into the entrepreneur role and being strategic about things, which means we can forget to have a strategy in the first place. And we can certainly forget to look at what trends are affecting us in the market, which is why I wanted to create this particular video. Sometimes when we're doing the same things over and over and it seems to be working, we forget to take a look outside at the big vision. And when you're offering a one-to-one service, sometimes clients don't always get it. They don't do their action prompts. They don't seem to be having the progress. And it can start to feel like you wished you were there 24/7 to do it for them or with them. And that's just not possible. Phygital might just about have the answer here. But I know what you're meaning in that sometimes it can feel overwhelming. It can feel very pressurized in business. And you can start to feel like everybody else is moving ahead, or the rest of the industry is doing something else, and you're being left behind because you don't have a strategy. You don't know what is relevant anymore. And that's why I wanted to talk about the Phygital world, because I feel like in the coaching, consulting, and even the creator and trainers and freelancers, I feel like we don't really talk about how we adopt this. And there are so many people hanging on to straight one-to-one, live, in-person, physical work. And we need to take a look at that. We need to take a look at that so you stay relevant. I'm going to give you some examples in the real world of Phygital. I'm going to explain to you what Phygital is. I'm going to talk to you about the principles of Phygital, and I'm also going to give you some suggestions about how a coaching, consulting, freelancing, training, creator business can also embrace some Phygital elements into your work so that you can start to scale your income, your impact, and get better results while also adopting this trend that customers are just expecting you to already be delivering. That's a fact. In fact, I want to say that we can't get complacent. I see this a lot. When something's working, why change it? But we saw this with Blockbuster. Yes, it worked. Blockbuster videos no longer exist because they got the offer to buy Netflix. They didn't see the value in streaming. They didn't think the industry was going that way. People wanted it. And Blockbuster no longer exists. The same thing happened with Toys R Us. Toys R Us did not see the value in having a digital presence. That's a no-brainer now. But they also didn't want to sell digital products. And consequently, Toys R Us ended up filing for administration. So ignoring the trends is a real danger zone. And I see so much of this happening in our world now, in the service delivery world, in the online and offline spaces, that we need to understand what Phygital product design is. A Phygital ecosystem of products needs to be developed and a strategy. And if you're not doing it already, this is a great time. This is a great opportunity to really get creative and deliver a far more comprehensive sort of product suite. But first of all, what is Phygital? Phygital product design. Right, okay. Phygital is just two words mashed together. And if you think about it, it's the way we live our lives now. We are online, we are on our social media, we are on our email, we're scouring the internet, we're on YouTube, and we're also in a physical world. That before there was always that, this is the real world, the physical world. I call it the real world when I talk to my kids, which is proper old talk, isn't it? And then you have the online world. But actually now it's physical and digital. It's Phygital. It marries together, it blends together, it's seamless. You can have online conversations, you can have real life conversations with the same people. It doesn't matter. It just goes to show how we've kind of adopted online, even in the older generations So I get a lot of pushback saying, but my audience don't really like to be on Facebook. Maybe not, but there's probably other platforms or other tools they definitely use that are more digital. So the first example I'm going to give you is one that will be dear to your hearts. So I'm going to give you some examples of how Phygital is used in the real world, and then we're going to apply it using principles to our types of business. So hang on here with me. I remember being stuck in Starbucks, and there seemed to be this invisible queue because I was still waiting after ordering my coffee at the till. Yeah, old school. I ordered it at the till and I paid for it. I actually used contactless to pay for it. And I'm still waiting. And then people I noticed were collecting their coffees from the other end. And there were people at the window as well. You know, the little window just at the back with the cars, the drive-through. Yeah, the drive-through. And I remember sitting there thinking, what's going on here? Well, you might know this already, but you can order on the app and you can collect at the other end of the Starbucks queue. And this is just one example of a transaction that's done without even ordering through a person. You can do the same thing with Burger King and other restaurants, I know. But this is an example of a Phygital product. It's a Phygital offering. It's a blending of the physical world and the digital world. Let me give you another one. I had this amazing experience I went to in London. A few days away, Expert Empires. And we had a little gap before we were having like drinks in the evening, but the sessions in the day had run on so late. There was just enough time to run out and get a sandwich, get changed in the hotel, freshen up and come back down. Straight opposite the hotel, there was this store called Amazon Go. Now, if you live in the city, you're going to be really familiar with these. You know exactly how they work. I didn't. I had never seen one before. So I walk in and there's these barriers stopping me and the security guard. And they're not opening. They're opening for other people when they go through, and I watch what's happening and I say to the security guard, what's happening? He's like, you just have to tap your app. I don't have an Amazon Go app. I had never been to this store before, but the concept is genius. For those of you who don't know, you basically go into the store, tap it, you gather your things, tap it, and you leave the store. There is no scanning. There's no queue for the checkouts. It's done for you. It knows what you've bought and it somehow charges your account. Amazon Go, it's just fast, it's seamless, it's phygital and a digital. So the physical world, because you've got your shopping, and the digital world, because you're using the app in which to pay and do the transaction. This is an example of another phygital process in retail. You've probably seen others, IKEA VR, they do IKEA Places, I think it's called, and ones where you can try on clothes and you use virtual reality or augmented reality to try on the items and get the detail of what you're about to purchase. And it's just a way of creating a more seamless transaction. So instead of physically trying the products in your room or going and looking at it in a store and trying to look at it in a showroom, it's about trying to figure out what it would look like in your home. These are just great uses of the tool to make that shopping experience easier. Now, I want to talk about some principles next, because if you're going to start to create some phygital type products in your ecosystem, or you're going to try and build a very seamless phygital experience in your process, then we need to make sure we follow the guiding principles. So first off, it's a seamless experience, right? You know, you walk into Amazon Go, you walk into Starbucks, there's no friction there. It doesn't feel like I've got to go up to the cashier, and you know the old days where you used to have your printout of your order and explain to them what you'd done online and how you'd sent an email to somebody. This has got to be a seamless experience. It's got to be a flow between the two. It's also got to add value and not fluff. I see so many entrepreneurs go to just add extra fluff. Well, I'll give them this worksheet, I'll give them this workbook, but it doesn't add any value to the result they're getting. That is not what it's about. It's not fluff. I remember being in Asda and they had this gimmick thing for a while where you had to click on the pot of gold and see what you won on their app. But at the checkout, you just wanted to scan your Asda Rewards app. So you'd be scanning it at the checkout. But instead, you got to keep pressing this rewards pot that kept popping up. It was annoying. It was fluff. It was noise. I don't know about you, but I don't sit on my sofa at night looking at the Asda app. Maybe some people do. No judgment here. But to me, that created friction to the point where I just closed the app and I didn't even scan it or use it. And I don't think I've used it since. Okay. Another guiding principle is it's got to improve the results that your clients get. So It's got to increase the value of their experience and improve their results. If you can think of a situation where they get stuck, and we're going to come to some examples in a minute, that will really help you to figure out, all right, in this place, it would be really helpful to give them this because it will help them to get over that. Increasing the value of the client experience. I'm going to come to some great examples on this in a minute. Fifth one is really crucial. I see this happen so many times. As a coach, a consultant, a freelancer, we offer one-to-one calls or sessions. And we think we're doing that as like a bolt-on extra. But I want to ask you a question. Is that scalable? If 1,000 people said yes, could you accommodate them? And if the answer is no, then it's probably the wrong solution to be thinking about. I don't know about you, but I've got to many situations where there's been, 15 slots open up, come and get a slot now, and you don't get one. That's a terrible client experience to the person who was hoping for one, who needed one, who was hoping for a hot seat or was hoping for this. If you can't scale it, it's probably the wrong solution. It's probably part of your main program to have something one-to-one. But when it comes to the added extras, using the Phygital environment to create a product ecosystem, you want something that is truly scalable. And then number 6, the final one, which sounds ridiculously easy, but how many times have you ever been on an app and it doesn't work? It's so frustrating. Do you ever go back to that app, or do you just delete it and say, no, that didn't work, and never try it again? That is what most people will do. If you do something, it must work. If you create something, whether it be a video, whether it be an audio file, I've had audio files downloaded, I've had templates downloaded from people that have never even worked. They don't open, for example. That's a terrible customer experience. Make sure you test and check absolutely everything. I think is probably the lesson for all of us. Okay, so before we move on to some real life examples, let me give you a little case study example and ask you the question, which of these would you buy? And it might help to just solidify why we should have a Phygital product development strategy. Okay, I'm a pre-diabetic, for example. It's very close to my heart because my mum and dad were both pre-diabetic up until recently. And you want to look for solutions that avoid going on lifetime medication or wearing continuous glucose monitors forever. And you get to the point where you have 2 options in the marketplace. I can have one-to-one coaching on pre-diabetes for 12 weeks, all live, online, or in person. Great. Or you could purchase a 12-week program for pre-diabetes. It includes meal plans, glucose monitoring, a weekly check-in, daily tips on how to control your insulin, and a planner. Which one feels like it has the most tools that you might need in order to reach this goal? I know, a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? And yet so many of us are still offering the first level of service. And yet so many of the elements in the second one are set and forget. You build it once. You might go in and refine and review it periodically, but you set it and you forget it. And that's the beauty of getting the right Phygital product design right. Okay, I'm going to give you some examples. I'm going to briefly go through the sales process, and then, because most people do not do this right, and then I really want to delve into delivering your client experience, delivering your main program. So the first one, in your sales process, just make sure the very basics are covered, because there is nothing worse than having an organization, a company, a business, email you like they don't know you're a client already, or they don't know you had a sales conversation that day. It's terrible. Use proper tagging, segmentation, grouping, and recording of calls and messages and emails into your CRM so that whenever you're segmenting, you're targeting, you're emailing the groups of clients or your audience or your subscribers, these people are already clients. Stop trying to sell me the thing I already bought with the latest offer because I already bought it from you. It's rude. Acknowledge that I'm a person. Basic personalization it goes a long way, but this is another example of Phygital. It's where everything works together. I can have a phone conversation with you, and then you mark it on the system. And then I come back round and you acknowledge the fact that I've shown an interest in this product. I had a phone conversation. That's your sales process. If we can just get some of those things right, you don't even need to do Starbucks pre-ordering. I mean, you can, that's a great process, isn't it? Ordering something online without having to have a phone call and wait for an invoice from somebody, that is a nice part of a seamless transaction process. Okay, but I wanted to talk about why this matters and then move on to some real examples you can get into your programs. If you're starting to think, I'm not sure I need this, I'm hoping I've persuaded you, by the way. I want you to think about what your business really depends on, the success of it. Some people say sales, some people say marketing, leads, ads, whatever. The reality is the future success of your business depends on your results. So from your client's perspective, life is phygital. Life is digital. Life is physical. It's in the real world. Life is busy and overwhelming. It's distracting. Look at your own schedule. When your clients are getting derailed, what are your options? Can you scale pestering them, reminders? Can you scale constant calls to keep them on track? Or can you build something that works around their life? If you're not convinced, think about the concept of the client wants the fish. They want the result. But they're going to get blockers. They're going to have things that they find really difficult to do. When we were in web design, the biggest thing clients found difficult was writing the content for their web pages. We'd wait for ages and ages and ages and ages. Project deadlines would get pushed back, and so would final payments and delivery, just because of a bit of content. If you can provide prompts, crib sheets, templates, something that identifies where the obstacle is that keeps them blocked from achieving results and overcome it in a scalable way, then you're onto a real winner with your product design. Hopefully you're completely sold and you just want to know, okay, so what kind of things can I add to my program, Sue? What kind of things can I do? I'm just going to give you a list, a breakdown list here now. This is different for every single program. You have to think about your client journey, their experience with you. You can't just add fluff or extra things to do in their schedule just for the sake of it. But things that are great value, add extra experience and richness, are things like accountability buddies, peer learning, community. Hot seating is an absolutely incredible thing to do. Group coaching. On top of that, you can do live masterminds, in-person events. In-person events is one of the most valuable things I have ever seen program organizers do. They just do one that goes with the whole program that might last 12 months, 6 months, but it's the time when everybody connects together. Anything that you do live in groups, that really connects people together, and it doesn't have to be one-to-one, so you can scale it, but that creates massive value and can really give people a motivation. Okay, other things then, I'm going to put on-demand, self-paced elements like online courses, pre-recorded material, audio courses, workbooks and books. You could have an app that you have journaling prompts in there, daily voice notes or meditations. You could have an app that gives them prompts, check-ins, project plans, or you could just have that in a system, but it doesn't have to be in an app. It could just be a template that works really well. And some of these things can be pre-scheduled prompts and reminders. It's not something you necessarily have to be doing every single day. If you're organized, you can have voice notes that go out once a week. You can have action points that go out once a week, and you can batch create them. There are so many ways now that you can create a phygital experience, but it's the trend that you can't ignore because your clients are getting it from somewhere else. At the moment, they might be getting one-to-one coaching with you, and then they might use an app for some of the other elements. But you see here, they're not getting the whole service, the whole package, and that's why they're going somewhere else. And is that going somewhere else distracting them from your process, or is it in line with your methodology? The same for coaching, consulting, training, content creation. If we can think about more and more content creators are creating physical in-person events. This says it all. We've gone from jumping online to jumping back offline to be in person. And that's incredible. I'm thinking of Francesca Amber, who ran her live book tour. I'm thinking of YouTubers now who are basically creating live events for people to attend. This is such a change. This is a marrying, like I say, of the physical and the digital world. It's a blend of how we live. Phygital now has got to be an integral part of your strategy, and it's exciting. It creates opportunities. It allows you to lean in to your creativity as an entrepreneur. You can build this into your product ecosystem. You can build this into your sales process. To start with one element at a time that you know will really help to enhance and elevate what you do. And most importantly, this is going to help you to really, really leverage your impact. I'd love for you to let me know in the comments what you think about this trend, what you've seen, what you're embracing, what you're using, and even what you're worried about. I love to hear about all of your business plans and all of your life goals, because consciously you are creating the most impactful business and the most impactful life that you can. See you soon, folks. Take care. Bye.